Good afternoon, Tracy here. I wasn't planning on making a video of this, but I got the kids outside. I got the dog chewing on an ice cube. So hopefully that'll give me time to do this. I'm going to make watermelon jam today. It is 1:45 and I have to leave here by 2:45. So I have an hour to do this with videoing it. So it might be a little tight, but I think we can do it. And yes, it's quiet in here. I swear it hasn't been quiet in here in a month. So I bought some watermelon from Gateway. They were $3.97 for a large watermelon, and I needed 8 cups of puree because I'm going to do a double batch. A double batch should be around 10 quarter-liter jars or half-pint jars. So that takes 8 cups of puree. I just threw it in the blender already. Cut it up and threw it in the blender. It was about close to 3/4 of a watermelon, so about $3 worth of watermelon. I have my lids ready already with all brand new lids in my rings, my funnel, my jar lifter, my, what do you call that? It's for spacing, headspace tool. I don't know. I'm sure it has a real name. This is my big pot that I use for making jams in case it boils over. And this is my steam canner. Highly recommend a steam canner, especially if you are in a well, because it only takes 2 liters of water and it heats up super, super quick. All right, so I will set you up on the tripod and I will show you what I'm doing and describe it along the way, and hopefully we can do this quickly. All right, so first thing, Pomona's pectin, it is not activated by sugar, it's activated by calcium. So I bought this in a 1 pound bag. I probably used 2/3 of it, and I want to say it was like $75, but you don't use that much. So this is sold separately. It comes as calcium. So the calcium needs to be diluted. So you put half a teaspoon per half a cup of water. And you're not going to use all of this for this recipe. Their website is great with having recipes, how much calcium and how much pectin you need for each recipe. But you just mix it in there. I'm going to throw out one of these these are just little lunch containers. And whatever I don't use of this, I'll just pop in the fridge. And the next time I make jam, it'll be ready to go. So that's it. That's your calcium. All done. So then in here, we are going to put 8 cups of pureed watermelon. Okay, so Pomona's, I find that word really hard to say. Pomona's pectin. You can double the recipe. You can't do that with regular jam recipes. So we're going to double this. This is going to be a double batch. So it's 8 cups of the watermelon puree. Like I said, I just blended this up in the blender. You could use a food processor. You could even use a hand blender. Watermelon's very easy to blend. So that is 8 cups. My heat's not on yet either. There's a little bit left. I'm just going to add that to a smoothie we're going to make later. We're going to add 8 teaspoons of the calcium water that we just made. So I don't have a teaspoon on this ring. So 3, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8. So 8 teaspoons. So you can see there's still quite a bit left of that. So probably at least a few more patches of jam. And into this, we're going to add 1 cup of lemon. All right. Had to do a dog pee break. Okay, so 1 cup of lemon, and it's bottled lemon. There we go. And then we're going to start bringing that up to temperature. Okay. Meanwhile, we're going to take, I just wiped this out, so it's dry now. Now, for Pomonas, you can do low sugar, you can do no sugar. What I have found is the best is to do about a cup of sugar per batch. And if that seems like a lot to you, then you've never made jam. Because regular jam is usually equal parts sugar and fruit. And this is 8 cups of fruit to 2 cups of sugar. So you're going to measure out your pectin and you're going to mix it in with your sugar. Pectin and liquid do not mix. It will clump almost immediately. So that's why you mix it in with your sugar. So it's able to dissolve. So 3, 6, 6.5, 7. So we're just going to mix that up and add it to our jam or our fruit mixture. Okay, so this is now brought up to boil. I use this great big pot because I had once had stuff boil over. You probably don't need this big a pot, but I'm being extra cautious. So that's my watermelon puree with the lemon juice and the calcium water. This is my sugar with the pectin added and just stirred in. We're going to add this, stir it in, and then we're going to return it to a boil and boil for 2 minutes. That is good and mixed in. And my jars are just in the sink here with hot water in them. I'm just going to bring them over here and put them on my cloth for filling. I'm actually going to bring this back a little bit so it's easier to fill. Okay, this is back to a boil. I'll set the timer for 2 minutes and then I will bring you back to jar it up. Okay, that is our 2 minutes. Now we're going to take this off the heat. As you can see, I don't know if you, yeah, you probably can't see from there, can you? Just look how much that has bubbled up from that little amount. So we're going to take that off the heat, give it a little bit of a skim so we don't get bubbles or foam, I guess. So we're going to take it off the heat there. And I'm just going to give it a couple skims of the top, skim the foam off the top, and then we're going to fill our jars. And once I start, right before I start to fill my jars is when I'm going to turn on my steam canner. This doesn't even on heat yet because it heats up that quickly. Okay, I'm back on my phone speaker. I just skimmed this of the foam, and then I'm going to fill the jars to 1/4 inch headspace. So that is very close to the tippity top. But I'll get these filled up and then we will, well, you don't really need a debubble jam, but still check for the headspace. Last time I made watermelon jelly, it was with a different recipe. It was from a Certo recipe and it didn't set. I don't know if that's because watermelon is a very watery fruit, but I'm hoping I have better luck with the Pomonas. I definitely boil some water in here because I have much less than what they said I would. All right, so that only made 8 jars. So 1/4 inch headspace is right here, this first one. So you put this edge on the side of the jar and you want this tip to be touching. So that could use a little more. This one a little less. Okay, so I'm just gonna top these up to 1/4 inch headspace and then wipe the rims and then get them in my canner. I'm actually gonna turn my canner on now because I forgot a couple minutes ago. All right, so these have all been topped up to 1/4 inch headspace. Make sure you wipe your rims. This is especially important for jam, because if any of that sticky sugar gets underneath your seal, it's not going to seal properly. Now, I didn't sterilize these jars. They just had hot water in them. So I was putting hot liquid into hot jars. And that is because they're going to be processed for more than 10 minutes. So you do not need to sterilize your jars, as per Bernardin's website. Okay, and then I always have my lids ready to roll. So hot. And I just do finger tight. You don't need to clamp right down on them. Jam is always so hot to do. And then I can already hear my steam canner starting to heat up. That is how quick. I'm trying a different type of lid. I'm trying some Care lids that I found at the dollar store. I just bought a couple boxes to try before I committed. I still have loads of lids left from that giant sale I got. Would have been 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I saw there was a sale at Superstore. Regular lids were $1.97 and wide mouth lids were $1 a jar, or $1 a box. So I asked my husband to get me a flat of each, which I thought was 12, and it actually ended up being, I think, 36. So I think I had something like 72 boxes of lids that day. I'm still using them. Okay, so these are all the lids on. This is starting to warm up. It's not boiling yet, but it's on its way. We're gonna pop them in there. And once it gets up to temperature, we're going to time it for 10 minutes. And then once that timer goes off, we are going to time it for a 5-minute cool down. So just to give you a time check, we are at 2:16. I have half an hour until I have to leave. And I had to have a puppy break and kid break. So I'll show you on the lid here. I am zone 1. I think it's less than 3,000 feet above altitude, so I am well in zone 1. So when the needle reaches that darkest line there, that is when I'll start timing. And my burner's on high. I'm gonna leave my clock here. I'm gonna leave my lid lifter here. This leftover foam is gonna go in the smoothie we're making. And then I'll have time to do all the dishes while this is coming up to temperature. All right, so I just want to show you it's 2:25 and this just reached temp. So what I do on this stove is I turn it right down to low and then set my timer for 10 minutes. All right, I'm gonna finish up these dishes. I'm nearly done. All right, moment of truth. My 5-minute timer just went off, so it was on this burner. I just moved it over here for the 5-minute cool down. You have to do that with a steam canner just so there's not a big fluctuation in the temperature. Yeah, so moment of truth. The only other thing with a steam canner, you can get ones that are clear so you can see what's going on, but I just roll the dice. So, did anything break? Da-da-da, looks good, and you can hear them popping already. So I'm just gonna take those off of here and put them on here. It is 2:40, so I have to leave here in 5 minutes. So yeah, we made it. So these should set up within 24 hours or so, but sometimes they do take up to a week, but we'll see how they look, and I'm loving the color. Okay, so it has been 24 hours. These have just been sitting right here on this towel. Just took a Sharpie and labeled the top, a watermelon jam, and the date. As you can see, these have set up quite well. They will set up even more. I don't want to tilt this too much. So what I do is remove the rings. And then I just take a wet cloth and wipe around the top. Sometimes little bits of sugar and stuff or product leaks down, and especially where I store these in the basement, you don't want any mold forming on the outside, and you just want it to be clean. And then to give an extra check, pick it up by the lid just to make sure it's sealed. The button is down, but just a little extra assurance. Also, if you store them without the rings, and if you do lose a seal, you'll know right away. All right, so I'm just gonna wipe these off and go put them downstairs, add them to my shelf. And these will most likely be added to my Christmas baskets I do up. So the total cost for this recipe comes in at $3 for the watermelon, 78 cents for the lemon, 40 cents for the sugar, $3.70 for the pectin, and $1.31 for the 8 lids. That came into $9.19 or $1.15 a jar. To me, that's a great price point for a unique jam that is a great item to give away as gifts. Thanks so much for watching, and you have an excellent day. Bye.